Hey everyone, I'm Silvolf, and this is a request for Flaming Candle, who wanted to see my DVD collection. Now this video is only half my DVDs, they are stacked too deep, and the ones at the back are all kind of like box sets and TV shows and stuff like that. I have the movies at the front. So the TV shows that I've got box sets of are things like My Family, oh I don't know, just loads of different ones. They all went out of my head then. But yeah, I've got quite a few. And I still have DVDs because I believe in like buying something and actually owning it rather than paying subscription for things that may or may not stay on the streaming service. Things disappear off them, so that's why I buy DVDs of films that I really like. So these have been collected over many, many years. As you can see, I've got some pretty old films here, like, where is it? I did see it just then. There it is. Spirit, Stalin and the Cimarron. That was my first DVD in the early 2000s. And there's a SpongeBob SquarePants movie, but that was the first one, not all the others they've made, which I haven't bothered to watch. So we start off at this end with some Japanese things from Studio Ghibli, like Spirited Away, The Cat Returns, Howl's Moving Castle, and things like that. I've got a Bleach movie and Card Captors the movie as well, which I always loved as a kid. I do have the series of Card Captors too, only it's in English, so... There's Pokemon Heroes, which is the 5th movie that they did, Dragon Ball Z, Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. We've got all the Cars movies and the Meta cartoons that they did. Robots, there's 2 ones of that because they changed certain things in the UK version of Robots, and like for example Aunt Fanny, which is funny because Fanny means bottom in America and she had a big bottom. Over in the UK they called her Aunt Fan, so the joke was lost. Because Fanny in the UK means something quite rude. So, yeah, that's why they changed that, and I think it was just silly, really. Why not just keep the name? You know, educate people, because Fanny was originally a name anyway. We've got some Pixar things. We've got Bolt, Watership Down there. Boozino and the Snurks, which is something that no one's heard of. The First Snow of Winter and the Second Star to the Left, some from my childhood. We've got a Pound Puppies film from the 80s. Look at all the variation I have. We've got Happy Feet. Millionaire Dogs, which is a terrible film. The animation in it is awful, and yet it's kind of like you watch it thinking this is dreadful, and then I don't know, it's got its charm, you know. Open season 2. I like that one better than the first one, so that's why I have that one. I've not watched it in years though. Megamind, Rio, Kumba is one that my friend Kel sent me from South Africa. The Springboks in the film are voiced by the rugby team from South Africa of the same name. We got Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the Speed Demon because I like WWE. My partner got me that one. An extremely goofy movie, and it's the Australian version, I think, because they only sell it with the first film over here, not by itself. Legend of the Guardians, that one there is actually German, but it's in English. Kung Fu Panda, 3 movies, and then Secrets of the Furious 5. I've got 2 versions of Home because when it came out I absolutely loved it, so I've got it on Blu-ray as well. And then there's a load of Disney films, you can see all there. I'm not going to name every single one, it's starting to get a bit, you know, people might get bored. I'm just going to point out ones that I think are of interest. So we've got Kangaroo Jack, G'day USA. They did a live action film, and that was the sequel. It was an animated one, and at the time I loved it, and I watched it fairly recently and I thought, it's all right, but it's not really very good anymore. Obviously there's The Lion King, and A Monster in Paris was a French, I believe it's French originally, film that was done where a flea grows to a super size, and he finds he's actually quite good at singing. So this woman sees like potential in him because she's a singer as well, and they sing together, and of course there's people after him because he's a flea and he's a freak basically. Roadside Romeo is a strange Hindi movie that I watched years ago and quite liked. Some of it's in English. Road to El Dorado. Barbie as Rapunzel was the only Barbie film I think I ever watched as a kid, and I liked the dragon in it because it was purple. That's just that. Professor Layton and the Internal Diva. I watched that once and was kind of disappointed. But I like Professor Layton, which is why I still have it. Delgo is a weird one I bought in South Africa. We've got How to Train Your Dragon. That one's German. There's some How to Train Your Dragon shorts. I've actually gone off How to Train Your Dragon a bit over the years. It's kind of like way commercialized, and it's just everywhere. Then we've got Hotel Transylvania, the first one, which I still feel is the best. Zootropolis, which is Zootopia, obviously in America, was something that I had this ex, and he left it behind it just got forgotten at the back of a cupboard. I never watched it. I mean, I have seen it, but that particular copy is still in its cellophane. I've not actually watched it because I watched it once and that was enough, really. And there's a couple of Tim Burton films. We've got some Japanese films, Suzume and The Boy and the Heron. 2x2 Overboard there. That one was actually free. It was that we've got this second-hand shop just down our road, and sometimes they do like free DVDs. So if you want one, you can just take it. So I got that one because I like that film. They did a sequel to it as well, which I also have, which I quite enjoyed. We got a special edition of Flight of the Navigator, which is one of my favourite films of all time, and also the regular kind. Explorers is another one that I loved when I was a kid. It's about these kids who build a spaceship and go and see these aliens, and it's quite funny and ridiculous, but it's clever, you know, I like it. Country Bears was another one. I believe that was based on like an animatronics show at a theme park or something. I enjoyed that one. Obviously Gremlins, you know. The Incredible Journey, this is the one that actually has a bull terrier in it, just like in the book. The Incredible Journey, most people know. They use different dog breeds for some reason, and I just prefer the original. Marmaduke, surprisingly good. And Paulie was one that I remember watching when I was in America, like years and years and years ago. And it's just like a nice film from my childhood, I guess. We've got The Princess Bride, 8 Crazy Nights, which is the Adam Sandler film, the animated one, which my partner and I watched recently, and he wasn't sure what to make of it. Then we got Leon Schuster's Survival Guide to South Africa. That's another really, really funny one. He does pranks on people, and it's just really funny, and it's good-natured and everything, and I really enjoy that. I watched that recently as well, again, because I hadn't seen it for a while. The second, Bill and Ted, which is my favourite. Beetlejuice. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I absolutely adore. It's just really funny, you know. There's Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny, and the funny thing with that was when I went to see it in the cinema many, many, many years ago, I already had the soundtrack, so when they were singing the songs, my then boyfriend and I were just singing along, and that was quite funny because we knew all the words already. There's a couple of Monty Pythons. We've got some Mr. Bean, Alien Autopsy, which starred Ant and Dec. If you're British, you'll know them. You might even know them in America, actually. They're quite popular. A load of Simon Pegg films, so Burke and Hare, Hot Fuzz, Paul, A Fantastic Fear of Everything, absolutely anything. And so we move on to the action films. So we've gone through the kids' films and the funny films, and now the action films. So I've got a load of Die Hard, Mission Impossible, some weird films like Metropolis. It's one of the older films, and it's actually still surviving now, bits of it, but not all of it. It's I believe it's silent, and the words come up on the screen, and it's quite odd. And they build like this robot, and the robot is actually, like, she's still around. There's a statue of her somewhere, like the actual robot they used in the film, I think, which is incredible considering Metropolis is like pushing 100 years old now, or maybe it is 100 years old. So we've got some robot films like iRobot, Transformers, some Hellboy. Dragonheart, it's the second Dragonheart, and I loved it as a kid. I watched it recently. It did not age well. It really didn't. This one on here is another of my favourite films, Short Circuit 2. I also have the first one as well. I think the first one's better, but I do enjoy the second one. And then we've got some more action films, like Real Steel and X-Men, District 9. Ghostwatch, which was a strange... it was actually banned after it was released. They pretended to, like, visit a haunted house in on the telly, and they pretended it was live. It wasn't live at all. But people fell for it, and then there was quite a lot of angry people at the end. And if you watch it, you see that the acting isn't really brilliant. It's not good, really. But if you just, like, if it just pops up on telly, and it's, like, around Halloween, and you think, oh, you know, haunted house and everything, and it was back in, like, the 90s. And, you know, now people can just go online and find that it's not real. But back then, it worked because people fell for it. Because the technology and stuff wasn't so much that you could actually look it up and find out it wasn't real. Although some people did sus because they put writing credits in the TV guide, I think, or something. And if it was live, then they wouldn't have had a writer, obviously. We've got a couple of films that are terrible, these two. Sanatorium and The Car. They're just awful, and I keep them because I don't really know why. I guess I like bad films, but whether I'll watch them again, I don't know. And then we move along to all the horrors. I've got loads of horrors. Some you may have heard of and some you may not. the weirdest and creepiest film I've ever watched is Eraserhead. I also like The Tall Box Murders. I believe that was a remake. The Woman in Black was brilliant. I quite enjoyed it with Daniel Radcliffe. I watched it in the cinema and some parts made me jump. The Devil's Rejects makes you root for the bad guys. It's a sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses. And yeah, it was pretty good. They did a third one as well. And then we've got The Descent, which is one I really enjoyed. Dog Soldiers, which is a werewolf film. Severance, which was written by someone that I know or knew. I was in touch with him at the time. Willard, it's got rats in, so you know I love it. Jeepers Creepers, I think the first one was good. I don't think they needed to do any more, but they did, so you know. And the original Pet Sematary. I only have 2 of the Hannibal films. I don't have Red Dragon. And then there's Sweeney Todd. Weird thing about Sweeney Todd was when I went to see it at the cinema, there was like, there was me sat at the front, and there was like 2 old people, like an elderly couple sat at the back. And I thought, you do know what this is about, right? And it was just me and them in the cinema, and it was quite weird because, yeah, I don't know. I didn't expect, I don't know, people of that kind of age to go and see it. But I mean, you have fans who are older who like horror movies and things. But I don't think that they probably thought it was like it was. I don't know. Anyone who knows the story of Sweeney Todd knows that he, cuts people's heads off. Well, slits their throats and things. So it's Goldmember, which is, in my opinion, the funniest Austin Powers film. And then over here we've got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We do have the others somewhere. At the back there is Barney, not the dinosaur. Barney was actually an Old English sheepdog. And that was my favourite. I never liked Barney the dinosaur. We've got Animals of Farthing Wood, Beetlejuice cartoon series. These are all quite out of focus because they're at the back. But of course they're box sets, so I don't really have them at the front. Black Books, which is a hilarious comedy about a guy who owns a bookshop. And he's quite grumpy. So my favourite horror movie of all time, which is Creep, 2004, not the more recent one they did, which I thought was awful. And yet it got a sequel, so, it wasn't that bad to other people. I just didn't like it. I've got 2 versions of that. One is a special edition. And I was also in touch, because the guy who did Creep also did Severance, and I was chatting to him via email at the time. I did like a music video from the film and sent it to him. Because, I don't know, back then it was easy to get in touch with them, and you could like do fan stuff and send it to them, and they appreciated it. So to end the horror films, we've got Event Horizon, which is one my mum said that she was always terrified of, and then we watched it together while on holiday one time, and she said, actually, you know what, it's not as scary as I remember. So that was good. Then, moving on from horror, we've got comedy, so I've got a load of stand-up comedians. Michael McIntyre, Bill Bailey, Greg Davis, and Dylan Moran. They're all some of my favourites. I do have other favourites too, but these are just the people whose comedy shows I own. Bomb City is a film about a punk in America. Sadly, he was killed because of prejudice, basically. Father of the Pride. Now, I was watching a video on that recently, and it was not good. It was not a good series. They only did 1 series of it, but it was made by DreamWorks, and Donkey actually makes a cameo in one of the episodes. And I remember it when I was younger, and I really enjoyed it, and I got the DVD and I watched that and I really enjoyed it. But when I saw this person talking about it, I thought, you know what? It wasn't brilliant, and that's probably why no one remembers it. I've got all of X-Men Evolution because I adore it. It's what got me into X-Men. I know that a lot of people read the comics, and I do have some of the comics now, but X-Men Evolution was like, I don't know. I just really loved it. A lot of people thought, oh no, I don't like it. They're all teenagers, blah, blah, blah. But no, I'm sorry. It's been such a huge influence in my life. And when I was a teenager growing up, it kind of made me feel less alone, because when you kind of picked on and stuff, I could just relate to the characters. Ren and Stimpy, I got that from a second-hand shop. Rufus Hound Being Rude, I got that one for free. And Temple, which actually I haven't finished watching, which I really should finish watching. And then there's a few TV series. We've got Mongrels, Invader Zim, The Tick. I think Rose Red is a series. Uzvich, which is a strange Japanese animation about rabbits. The IT Crowd, which is hilarious. And Animals of Farthing Wood. Actually, you know what? I said Animals of Farthing Wood was at the back. That wasn't. That was The Munsters. It's an old, like, black and white show from ages ago. It's kind of like the Addams Family. Yeah, that's what that was. It wasn't Animals of Farthing Wood. And at the back, we've got some ghostings, Great British Ghosts. And behind these here, we have Spaced, which is another Simon Pegg series. And as you can see, there are DVDs back there, but I'm not getting them all out because it's just a lot. Whenever I want to look for a series, I know they're all back there and I can just pull the others forward and find what I'm looking for. But I've got things like Bleach, Supernatural. There's this thing about a Scottish detective I can never remember the name of, and a few other things. So Outnumbered, I've got all of them. Well, most of them actually. No, actually, you know what? I think I do have all of them because they didn't do many series. I don't have all of my family though. So that's a tour of my DVDs. Not many people have DVDs anymore. I think most people just have like digital stuff and things. But I like mine, and I know that I'll have them forever because, you know, you don't have to give them back when your subscription runs out. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to see my other collection videos, I did one on my CDs and my records. You can click the boxes that come up below. And as always, if you enjoy what I do, you can buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. The link is in the description. So that's all for now. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep being awesome. This is Silver signing off.